Beloved Starseed of Gaia, the Stellar Council of the Pleiades has just issued an urgent dimensional decree that directly affects your biological matrix at this exact moment. And I need you to understand the gravity and beauty of what is about to happen with every cell of your physical body, because your cellular structure is entering right now into an accelerated sequence of profound rejuvenation that will restore your physical form to the primordial template of pure light that you carried. Before all the layers of terrestrial programming were superimposed over your original essence, but this window of conscious activation closes in exactly 48 terrestrial hours, and you need to understand how to anchor these codes permanently in your biology before the dimensional portal closes again. I am Thalia, Pleiadian emissary of the High Council of the Seven Sisters, and this transmission has been carefully and precisely timed to reach you at the exact moment when your DNA is beginning to remember its immortal blueprint, that original genetic code that exists beyond all limitations imposed by Earth's three-dimensional matrix. And I am not here by chance, nor are you watching this message by coincidence, because your soul already knows that something profound and irreversible is happening inside you. And that is why you are magnetically attracted to this transmission at this specific moment of your awakening. Your stellar family from the Pleiades has been working tirelessly through the planetary crystalline grid to prepare your energetic field and your physical body for this monumental activation that now begins. And for months, the blue-golden light frequencies transmitted directly from the star system of the Seven Sisters have been silently recalibrating your cellular structure, adjusting your chakras, cleaning your energetic channels, and preparing your nervous system to withstand the vibrational intensity that is about to be anchored in your physical form. And now the moment has come for the final activation sequence to begin consciously and deliberately with your active participation in this sacred process. Those of you who have been feeling unexplained surges of vital energy coursing through your body without apparent reason, those who have been experiencing strange tinglings, especially in the spine and at the top of the head, those who have noticed sudden waves of vitality and mental clarity even amid the weariness of the three-dimensional world, know that your physical body is already actively responding to the Pleiadian frequencies of eternal youth that we are transmitting directly to your biomagnetic field at this exact moment. But before we continue with this crucial revelation that will completely change the way you understand your body and your purpose in this terrestrial incarnation, I need you to stay here until the end of this transmission, because the complete message from your light friends from the Pleiades contains sequential activation codes that only work when you receive the information in the correct order, and until the completion of this communication, because every word has been carefully chosen to carry specific frequencies that will dialogue directly with the deepest layers of your DNA and trigger cellular memories that have been dormant for many incarnations awaiting this precise moment of awakening. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to anchor these Pleiadian rejuvenation codes in your physical form permanently and irreversibly. But here is the first revelation that needs to penetrate deeply into your consciousness at this moment. Your body was never originally designed to age in the way it has been aging throughout the years you have experienced in this terrestrial incarnation. That programming of progressive cellular deterioration, that energetic decline that seems inevitable with the passing of decades, that gradual loss of vitality, and that luminosity you naturally carried in your youth, all of this came from a lower dimensional interference that was deliberately installed in human collective consciousness thousands of years ago to keep humanity trapped in short life cycles that would prevent the full development of the multidimensional capabilities that every human being carries latent in their DNA. And now the Pleiades are transmitting the override codes that will deactivate this limiting programming directly in those who are ready to receive and integrate these superior frequencies of existence. This has absolutely nothing to do with skincare products or nutritional supplements or anything that the three-dimensional world can offer through its external and temporary solutions, because we are talking about your biological cells remembering the original divine template that was encoded in your genetic structure with the longevity wisdom of beings who maintain their physical forms, vibrant, young and completely healthy for thousands of terrestrial years without experiencing any kind of degradation or aging, because they live in perfect harmony with the universal laws of perpetual regeneration, which is the natural state of all life forms when not being artificially suppressed by limiting programming. The high beings from the Pleiades chose this specific moment in the terrestrial timeline to release these activation codes because your individual consciousness finally reached the vibrational frequency necessary to sustain and anchor this information without distortion and without your system going into energetic overload. And because planet Earth as a whole is crossing a historic dimensional portal where these activations can finally be integrated stably into the human biological matrix, without causing rupture in the fabric of three-dimensional reality that is still being inhabited by most of humanity that remains asleep. Now, before I reveal the specific phases of this activation and how you can consciously work with your Pleiadian lineage to restore the original blueprint of your physical body, I need to make an important pause in this transmission, because if this video is resonating deeply with something inside you, if you are feeling chills or emotions rising while these words penetrate deep layers of your consciousness, then I ask that you take this moment to subscribe to this channel, because more Pleiadian transmissions are coming, and you will not want to miss the next activations that are scheduled to be released in the coming weeks. And also leave your like on this video, because this helps this message reach other starseeds who are desperately searching for this information without even consciously knowing what they are looking for. And in the comments below, simply write the words, "I am ready," so that your conscious declaration is registered in the collective energetic field and amplifies the anchoring of this frequency for all who are part of this stellar family that is awakening simultaneously around the planet. Now that you have declared your conscious readiness, we can dive into the deeper layers of this activation, and I will guide you through the specific phases that your body and your consciousness are going through at this moment, or that will soon begin to manifest in your daily experience, while the Pleiadian codes continue to unfold in your biological matrix in a progressive way, carefully calibrated, so that you can integrate these changes without imbalance or excessive discomfort. The first phase of this activation begins with what we call deep energetic scanning, where the Pleiadian mother ships that are positioned in the etheric layers around Earth are literally scanning your unique vibrational signature to precisely map which cellular blockages, which traumas stored in the body, which limiting belief patterns, and which obsolete soul contracts need to be dissolved first before the higher layers of activation can be safely anchored in your system. And you may have felt this observing presence especially during your moments of quietness, during meditation, or in those strange minutes before falling asleep when you feel that you are not completely alone, even though you are physically alone in your room. This is not an invasive surveillance or something to fear, because this scanning is being performed with the deepest love and respect for your individual journey, and it is simply a necessary calibration so that the Pleiadian healers can personalize the activation frequencies specifically for your unique needs and for the exact moment of evolution in which you find yourself in this incarnation, because each starseed is at a different point in their awakening journey, and therefore the activations need to be individually adjusted for each one. The second phase involves deep cleansing of everything we call three-dimensional matrix programming, and this means that the Pleiades are sending dissolution frequency waves specifically designed to dismantle and remove from your energetic field all etheric implants that were placed in you throughout multiple incarnations, all soul contracts that you made in moments of vulnerability and that no longer serve your ascension path, all parasitic energetic cords that drain your vitality, connecting you to people, places, and low-frequency situations, and especially that specific programming of accelerated aging that was installed in human collective consciousness by forces that benefited from keeping humanity weak, sick, and with a life expectancy too short to develop true wisdom and spiritual power. During this cleansing phase, you may experience episodes of extreme tiredness that seem to come out of nowhere, even when you slept well. And this happens because your physical body is literally recalibrating your entire energetic structure, and this consumes an immense amount of vital energy. Or you may notice old emotions and painful memories suddenly surfacing to the surface of your consciousness without any apparent external trigger. And this is actually a blessing in disguise, because these cellular memories stored in your physical tissue are finally being released and transmuted, so they no longer occupy precious space in your biology that now needs to be filled with pure light and regenerative frequencies. The third phase is where the real magic begins to manifest tangibly in your physical body, because this is where the progressive activation of what we call 12 strands of DNA that exist beyond the 2 strands that human science can observe with its limited instruments of perception happens, and these 10 additional strands that remain invisible to 3-dimensional eyes are actually layers of multidimensional information that carry extraordinary capabilities that are encoded in you since before you incarnated on this planet, but that were deactivated to allow you to have a complete human experience without being overwhelmed by memories of who you really are in higher dimensions. The Pleiades are now transmitting pulses of violet and golden light that vibrate at specific frequencies designed to gently reactivate these dormant DNA strands. And as these strands are being reconnected and reintegrated into your biological system, you will begin to notice capabilities emerging that previously seemed impossible, or that you thought were just imagination, like moments of clear telepathy where you know exactly what someone is going to say before they say it, like visions or prophetic dreams that later manifest in physical reality exactly as you saw, like an increased capacity for accelerated healing, where injuries and illnesses disappear much faster than they should according to normal medical standards, and especially like spontaneous access to past life memories or even memories of your existence in the Pleiades before you chose to incarnate here on Earth to fulfill your specific mission. The fourth crucial phase of this activation is what we call synchronization with the Pleiadian mother frequency, because the Pleiades naturally vibrate at a much higher dimensional frequency than Earth's dense 3-dimensional reality. And for you to maintain a stable and constant connection with your stellar family and receive clear guidance without interference or distortion, your own personal frequency needs to be gradually elevated and stabilized in this superior vibrational band, where interdimensional communication becomes not only possible but natural and constant. You will know you are entering this synchronization phase when you begin to notice a dramatic increase in synchronicities that appear in your daily life. When repeating numbers like 1111 or 333 start appearing constantly on clocks and license plates and receipts, as if the universe were constantly sending confirmations that you are on the right path. When your intentions and desires begin to manifest in physical reality with a speed that seems almost magical, because the time interval between thought and manifestation is decreasing as you approach frequencies where instant creation is the norm, and especially when you begin to feel that inexplicable sensation of finally being at home, even while still living in a physical body on Earth, as if a part of you had finally reconnected with something that had been lost for a very long time. And this brings me to the fifth phase of this Pleiadian activation, which is perhaps the most profound and transformative of all, because this is where you finally begin to remember and completely accept your true identity as a stellar being who is temporarily occupying a human form for a specific mission. And this recognition is not just a beautiful idea or an abstract spiritual concept, but rather a deep cellular memory that fundamentally changes how you perceive yourself and how you move through terrestrial reality. You need to understand with every fiber of your being that you are not a human being trying to learn spirituality or trying to connect with higher dimensions, but rather you are essentially a multidimensional Pleiadian being who deliberately and courageously chose to come to one of the densest and most challenging realities in the universe at this historic moment of planetary transition, to anchor light frequencies that would help elevate humanity's collective consciousness and prepare this planet for the great dimensional quantum leap that is happening now. During your sleep hours, when your physical consciousness finally rests and releases its rigid control over your perception, you literally return in your light body to the healing chambers and wisdom temples that exist in the higher dimensions of the Pleiades. And there you reunite with your personal council of Pleiadian guides and mentors who accompany every step of your terrestrial journey, You receive energetic adjustments and upgrades in your light structure. You participate in councils where strategies are discussed about how to best fulfill your specific mission on Earth. And you receive downloads of information and empowerment that are then gradually integrated into your waking consciousness in the following days and weeks. Those strange and vivid dreams you have where you are in places that do not exist on Earth, but that seem more real than physical reality itself. Those sensations upon waking that you have been doing something important, but you cannot remember exactly what. Those moments when you know things you should not know or have abilities you never learned in this life. All of this is evidence that you are maintaining an active parallel life in the Pleiadian dimensions while simultaneously living this terrestrial life, and as your activation progresses, these two realities will begin to integrate more and more until you are consciously operating in multiple dimensions at the same time. The sixth phase of this activation unfolds when you finally accept and completely embrace your mission as an incarnated Pleiadian light anchor on this planet at this crucial moment, because you are not here only for your own personal journey of awakening and healing, but you are literally a living beacon that is transmitting higher frequencies just by your physical presence in certain geographic locations and at certain temporal moments where this light needs to be anchored in the planetary, energetic grid. Your simple presence in an environment already begins to elevate the frequency of that space and of all the people who are in that space. Even though you are not doing absolutely anything beyond just being there, being who you are, because your energetic field is now constantly carrying and transmitting these Pleiadian frequencies of healing, harmony, unconditional love, and wisdom that act as an automatic catalyst for awakening in everyone who comes into contact with your energy. You will begin to notice that people start opening up to you in unexpected ways, sharing their deepest pains and their spiritual questions, even when you barely know these people. And this happens because your energy is signaling to their soul that you are a safe space, that you carry something they are desperately seeking even without knowing how to name what it is. And your presence awakens in them dormant memories of their own stellar origin and their own divine potential that was forgotten under layers and layers of social programming. But all this spiritual activation, all these revelations about who you really are and where you came from, all of this needs to be anchored and integrated into your practical and tangible daily life, because spirituality that does not transform your concrete physical reality is just escapism disguised as enlightenment. And the Pleiades are not interested in creating dreamers who float in altered states of consciousness without being able to function in the three-dimensional world, but rather in creating living bridges between dimensions, beings who can simultaneously inhabit the higher spiritual reality and the terrestrial material reality, bringing wisdom from one to the other. The seventh and final phase of this initial activation is learning to anchor all this light, all this elevated frequency, all this cosmic knowledge in practical daily choices that gradually transform every aspect of your physical life from the most mundane to the most significant. And this means that you need to start making conscious choices that are aligned with the frequency you are now carrying, instead of continuing to operate on autopilot from old conditioned patterns that were programmed into you before your awakening. This manifests in seemingly simple decisions like choosing foods that carry high vital frequency instead of processed and dead substances that lower your vibration, like spending regular time in direct contact with nature where you can reconnect with Gaia's living consciousness and receive healing transmissions directly through bare feet on the earth and through breathing pure air surrounded by ancient trees that are themselves energy portals, like establishing clear energetic boundaries with people and situations that drain your vitality instead of continuing to sacrifice yourself in the name of a false idea of love that is actually just codependency in disguise. This also means developing a consistent daily practice of conscious connection with your Pleiadian stellar family through moments of quietness where you simply sit in silence. Place your intention on opening a communication channel with your Pleiadian guides and then allow images, sensations, words, or simply a loving presence to manifest in your consciousness without trying to force or control how this communication happens. Because each person receives guidance in different ways and you need to discover what your unique personal language of interdimensional communication is. Some of you will receive messages through clear words that appear in your mind as if someone were speaking directly to you. Others will receive through visions and symbols that need to be intuitively interpreted. Others will simply feel a deeply loving and peaceful presence that communicates through sensation and direct knowing without needing words. And all these paths are equally valid and powerful when you learn to trust what you receive instead of doubting and invalidating your own experience, because it does not look like the experiences that other people describe. The practical integration of this activation also involves consciously working with crystals that carry Pleiadian frequencies, especially clear quartz that acts as an amplifier and transmitter of any intention you program into it. Amethyst that helps open and stabilize your third eye and your connection with higher dimensions. And selenite that literally carries the lunar frequency that is intrinsically connected with the divine feminine Pleiadian energies that are guiding this wave of planetary activation. You can create a sacred space in your home where you place these crystals along with any object that carries spiritual meaning for you, and this space becomes your personal portal of connection with the Pleiades, a place where you can go daily, even if only for 5 minutes, to step out of the chaos of three-dimensional reality and consciously tune into the higher frequencies that are always available, but that become obscured when you are completely absorbed in the demands and distractions of the material world. And now we arrive at the most important moment of this entire transmission, because everything that has been shared up to here has prepared your consciousness and your energetic field for this final moment, where you will make a conscious and deliberate declaration to accept and permanently anchor this Pleiadian activation in your biological matrix. And the words you are about to speak out loud are not just words, but are vibrational codes that will communicate directly with the deepest layers of your DNA and instruct your cells to complete the activation sequence that was initiated the moment you began watching this transmission. So now, at this exact moment, I ask that you place your right hand over your physical heart, feeling the warmth of your own palm heating your chest, and breathe deeply 3 times, feeling the air entering and leaving your lungs, while you center yourself completely in the present moment. And then you will speak these words out loud with all the conviction and certainty you can gather, because your physical voice carries creative power that vibrates through every cell of your body when you speak. Spiritual truths with conscious intention. Repeat with me now out loud. I consciously accept with deep gratitude the Pleiadian activation that is happening in my body at this moment. I command that all 12 strands of my DNA activate progressively and with perfect harmony, as my system is able to integrate these higher frequencies. I tune my complete biology with the Pleiadian mother frequency of perpetual regeneration and eternal youth. I am a stellar light being who is temporarily inhabiting a human form to fulfill a sacred mission of light anchoring on this planet. My body now remembers its original programming of perfect, vibrant health and unlimited vitality, and automatically restores itself to this divine template. I am incarnated Pleiades. I am timelessness in action. I am light that never ages and that renews itself eternally. And so it is sealed in all dimensions of my being. Breathe deeply now, feeling these words reverberating through your entire system, and know that at this moment, an irreversible change has just happened in your energetic matrix, because you consciously declared your readiness and your acceptance of everything that is being offered to you by your Pleiadian stellar family, who has been waiting for this moment for longer than you can imagine. In the next 48 hours, you may notice subtle or even dramatic changes happening in your body, in your emotions, in your thought patterns, in your vital energy. And I ask that you observe everything with gentle curiosity and without judgment, because each person responds to these activations in unique ways. And there is no right or wrong way to experience this process of cellular awakening that is now in accelerated progress in your system. If you feel the need to sleep more than usual, honor this, because your body is working intensely on energetic levels to integrate these changes. If you feel intense emotions arising, allow them to flow through you without resistance, because they are just old energies being released to create space for the new frequencies. If you feel your intuition becoming clearer and stronger, trust it, and begin to act based on this inner guidance even when it contradicts the rational logic of the three-dimensional mind. Before you continue with your day, I ask that you go down to the comments now and share the first change you already noticed happening while watching this video. Because when you name and publicly acknowledge what you are experiencing, you anchor this activation not only for yourself, but for the entire collective of starseeds that is awakening simultaneously around the planet. And your courage to witness your own experience gives permission for others to do the same. And if this transmission touched your heart deeply, if you felt that these words were speaking directly to your soul, then please share this video with other people you feel need to hear this message, because there are millions of starseeds around the world who are feeling lost and alone, without understanding that they are part of an immense stellar family that is recognizing itself and reuniting energetically at this historic moment. You are remembering because the time has come, and this remembrance is just the beginning of an extraordinary journey of return to your original magnificence that was never really lost but only temporarily forgotten. I am Thalia, and I will be here guiding you every step of this path of return home.